Zuckerberg telling Rogan how the Biden administration bullied Meta.
People from the Biden administration call up our team and scream at them.
What happens when the CEO of Meta, Mark Zuckerberg, sits down for a deep 3-hour talk with Joe Rogan? You get raw insights, bold opinions, and surprising revelations. From the growing challenges of social media to government pressures and even his personal take on masculinity, Zuckerberg shares his vision for the future of tech and where Meta is headed next.
This is Orion, the most advanced glasses the world has ever seen.
If you're curious about the mind behind one of the biggest companies in the world, this video breaks down the biggest moments and key takeaways from this fascinating interview. Let's dive in.
Now first, like always, be sure to hit the like button down below. It helps us out tremendously with the reach of this video. Thank you.
The Joe Rogan Experience is a podcast hosted by American comedian, presenter, and UFC color commentator Joe Rogan. It was initiated on December 24th, 2009 on YouTube by Rogan and comedian Brian Redban, who was its sole co-host and producer until 2012. By 2015, it was one of the world's most popular podcasts, regularly receiving millions of views per episode, also including a wide array of guests, including business magnate Elon Musk, whistleblower Edward Snowden, Senator Bernie Sanders, astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson, and President Donald Trump. From December 2020 to February 2024, the podcast was exclusively available on Spotify, with highlights uploaded onto the main Joe Rogan Experience YouTube channel. The podcast was originally recorded at Rogan's home in California, before moving to a private studio in Woodland Hills, Los Angeles. Although most episodes feature entertainers, academics, comics, UFC fighters, and other non-political figures, the New York Times described the podcast as an unlikely political influencer in the 2020 US. In a recent episode released on January 10, 2025, Mark Zuckerberg made an appearance as the main guest on the podcast. Rogan, known for his unfiltered and probing style, brings out some surprising insights from the Meta founder. The discussion touches on topics like the controversial role of tech companies in moderating content, the pushback from political forces, and even Zuckerberg's thoughts on corporate culture and innovation. Mark Elliott Zuckerberg is an American businessman who co-founded the social media service Facebook and its parent company Meta Platforms, of which he is the chairman, chief executive officer, and controlling shareholder. Zuckerberg has been the subject of multiple lawsuits regarding the creation and ownership of the website, as well as issues such as user privacy. Under his leadership, Facebook grew into one of the world's largest social media platforms, connecting billions of users globally.
If I get through this speech today, it'll be the first time I actually finish something here at Harvard.
However, his tenure has also been marked by controversies, including allegations of political bias, misinformation, and the platform's role in influencing elections. In recent years, Zuckerberg has shifted Meta's focus towards virtual and augmented reality, spearheading the development of the metaverse as the company's next big technological frontier. In this podcast, they dive deep into Zuckerberg's journey, the controversies surrounding Meta, and his vision for the future of tech. Concerns over fact-checking and free speech. Joe Rogan asked Zuckerberg about one of the biggest criticisms Meta gets from fact-checking and free speech. How do they even handle that? Does he really want to be the guy deciding what's true for billions of people? Zuckerberg expressed his concern about becoming a decider of what is truth for billions of people.
Right, that's kind of a crazy position to be in for billions of people using your service.
Leading him to abandon strict fact-checking in favor of a community notes approach. He also discussed the pressure tech companies faced during the COVID-19 pandemic, including from the Biden administration, to censor certain content. Pressure from the Biden administration. Then Rogan brought up the subject of COVID pandemic, and asked how, during the COVID, they got tons of pressure on platforms like theirs to censor stuff from the government. Zuckerberg revealed that members of the Biden administration aggressively pressured Meta to remove content they deemed harmful, with some calls involving screaming and cursing. Meta resisted this pressure, ultimately deciding not to take down true content. Masculinity in the workplace. The conversation then turned to an issue that many have found surprising: Zuckerberg's comments on bringing more masculine energy into the workplace. Zuckerberg shared his belief that corporate culture should embrace more masculine energy and aggression. He hinted at Meta's rolling back of diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) initiatives as part of this shift. Zuckerberg was excited, but also a bit nervous about Rogan's unfiltered questions. He knew he'd face tough questions on Rogan's podcast. Criticism of Apple. Rogan raised the question of big companies like Apple and what's their beef with Apple.
It's so much easier to switch from Android to Apple because so many people have Apple. When you switch from Apple to Android, you kind of have to redo your whole system.
Apple hasn't been the same since Steve Jobs. Their innovation has really slowed down. Zuckerberg's insight on the matter. Zuckerberg criticized Apple's lack of innovation since Steve Jobs' era and their App Store fees, which Meta and other companies have long criticized. He framed these issues as potential targets for future regulatory action, especially with the upcoming Trump administration. Trump and social media bans. Rogan shifted the discussion to Trump and how Meta banned him after January 6th. How much of that was politics versus safety concerns?
This is the administration where Trump was famously kicked off of Twitter. That was a huge issue, like after January 6th. Like they removed.
On January 6, 2021, following the violent Capitol riot, Donald Trump faced widespread social media bans due to concerns that his posts had incited the violence. Twitter initially suspended his account for 12 hours on January 6th, but on January 8th it permanently banned him, citing the risk of further incitement of violence. Facebook and Instagram followed suit, suspending his accounts indefinitely on January 7th, with Facebook later enforcing a 2-year suspension that would last until January 2023. Other platforms like Snapchat, Twitch, Reddit, Shopify, TikTok, and Discord also took action, banning Trump or removing related content. Zuckerberg confirmed that Meta removed Trump in response to public safety concerns, but noted the political pressure the company faced. Elon Musk and TikTok. There was speculation about Elon Musk possibly buying TikTok, although concerns were raised about the Chinese government's willingness to sell it, especially with its key algorithm. The potential political and competitive implications of such a purchase were also discussed. Zuckerberg shared, "That would be a wild move," and added TikTok is so powerful and their algorithm is what makes them strong, and he doesn't see them just handing that over. But if someone like Elon did buy it, the whole social media landscape would shift overnight. Tech's relationship with Trump. Rogan raised a crucial point about how tech CEOs, Zuckerberg included, are warming up to Trump now. What's the deal there? Since there's been a shift, in 2016 and 2020, a lot of Silicon Valley was against him. But now, with the way regulations are going and the general political landscape, a lot of tech leaders are realizing that working with Trump might be better than fighting him. Zuckerberg, along with other tech CEOs like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, is now a part of a broader trend of Silicon Valley executives aligning with the incoming Trump administration. This reflects a shift from initial resistance to embracing Trump's policies. As the interview winds down, the two continue their deep dive into the shifting power dynamics in Silicon Valley. While Zuckerberg's comments on masculinity and corporate culture may turn heads, it's his reflections on the evolving relationship between tech companies, politics, and the public that resonate most. With a new Trump presidency on the horizon and Zuckerberg signaling a pivot toward a more aggressive corporate strategy, the future of Meta and the tech industry as a whole may look very different in the coming years. This conversation between Rogan and Zuckerberg offers a rare glimpse into the mind of one of tech's most influential figures, as Zuckerberg grapples with the implications of his decisions and navigates the ever-changing political and social landscape that tech giants like Meta must contend with. Thanks for watching. See you next time.